Hello, peoples. It's time. Tonight we are back to the wonderful world of vampire. We haven't done a vampire show in like 10 seconds, so I figured it was time. And we have a returning guest. Peter, you want to say hi, introduce yourself?
Hey everyone, my name is Peter Pena. I'm back. I have at this point 18 and a half years worth of experience with World of Darkness in general. I've run almost every flavor. Specialties are mage and vampire. So I was last on for Nefandia Marauders, and I'm looking forward to doing tonight with some Archons and Templars.
Awesome. And we have a new guest tonight, Kyde, Miyamoto.
Hi everybody. As he said, my name is Kyde. I've played Vampire the Masquerade for the most part for the better part of 16 years, give or take. I've played Werewolf, I've touched Mage and Kindred of the East, but my absolute specialty is Vampire the Masquerade. I've tried every single thing.
That's awesome. And we have our new co-host who signed on for the duration and then all the abuse that comes with it. Say, Eric, hi.
Hello, how's it going?
Of course, most of you folks that are returning have heard Eric's voice on more than one occasion on the show. He's got a very broad knowledge base to work from, so I'm consider myself lucky to have him. So, all right, folks. Tonight we're discussing the cops of the vampire world. I guess would be the best way to put it. Both Archons and Templars. We're gonna do the two main factional issues, and let's see where this goes. So, Eric, if you would please. You know how this works, dude.
Yeah. So, because everybody always starts with the cam, why don't we start talking about Templars and the Inquisition and all the fun stuff involved there, because that just doesn't get talked about enough.
Okay. But, I mean, the first question of the night, that's you.
Well, okay. Why don't we just start with a basic description of what a Templar actually is? So I'll turn it over to you guys on that.
What is a Templar?
Yeah. Whoever wants to jump in.
The Templars are the enforcers of the Sabbat. They're, I guess, the closest equivalency that you can get to a sheriff for the Camarilla. They're the guy that comes to you and tells you messed up, and then either helps you fix it or fixes you.
Okay. So who does a Templar exactly serve in the Sabbat, then?
I think they answer directly to the bishops, well, actually the archbishops. I might be wrong.
Yeah, the archbishops are kind of the Justicar version for that side of things.
No, actually...
I'll say I'd actually go higher and say the cardinals.
Yes. They are the servants of the cardinals, who are the... Yeah.
But
they don't have an inner circle. They don't have that kind of stuff. It's just really different there. Yeah. Anybody else?
Well, I was going to say more importantly, it's not the same as with the Camarilla, which is to say the Templars or Paladins, let's stick with Templars. The Templars are not assigned to a specific cardinal or archbishop or anything like that, where they're the right-hand man and enforcer. They serve the Sabbat as a whole.
That's what makes the main difference between a Templar and an Archon, is that Templars are like Peter said, they serve the Sabbat as a whole. They whenever an archbishop or a cardinal requires a services somewhere, they are sent to help out. Whereas an Archon is assigned, or actually assigned by a Justicar, to serve for the clan, specifically in ordered to serve the Camarilla.
Correct. So, Templars, and actually I was looking over the book earlier. Templars are kind of your catch-all term for the enforcers of these people that are going to serve the Sabbat, that are going to come in and fix the problems, come in and assess the situation, and so on and so forth. The ones that are really lucky, or unlucky based on your interpretation, are then picked up and made paladins by specific archbishops or cardinals. And becoming a paladin means now you serve this guy. You still serve the Sabbat as a whole in theory and in title and in name, but now this guy is the person you're working with and kind of working for directly. So I thought that was an interesting difference. A lot of people don't realize that there is actually something different between a Templar and a Paladin. You get to be the enforcer. You also get to be an advisor.
Now, now we're speaking in generalities here for the most part, but there have been some of the metaplot characters, Tally specifically, who only person he worked for was Moncada.
The Hound?
Yes.
Yes, the Hound. Okay.
So specifically he took his orders directly from Cardinal Luis Ambrosios Moncada.
Yeah.
Because he has a very pivotal role in the clan wars.
In a manner of speaking, yes.
Yeah, technically, when Tali was sent to help out in the overtaking of the east coast of the U.S., he made it really clear to what's his name?
Borges?
Yes, him and Cardinal Francisco Domingo de Polonia.
Yes.
Well, he was Archbishop at the moment. That he was only there because Ambrosio Luis Moncada sent him to aid with the war effort, but he wasn't there to pretty much be their lapdog or anything, even though he was technically the babysitter of the other archbishops.
Well, yeah, because none of these people, when you get that high up in the Sabbat, playing well with others isn't really a skill set of yours. So,
Actually,
and since you had three archbishops trying to work together for that during that campaign, including Sasha Vikos, the Simiche du jour.
I gotta correct you on something. The Sabbat has built-in loyalty.
What?
True. With the Valder.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So...
But that doesn't, just loyalty isn't always enough.
Oh, it was in response to that doesn't play well with others.
Oh,
Actually,
well, they don't.
Very well with others, even if they don't want to. Because a lot of times a group of Templars are a pack together. And then even archbishops and cardinals are in a pack with, everybody's in some kind of pack with somebody. Which gives you that kind of built-in loyalty, which then you can also enforce in a bunch of other ways with, disciplines or it actually starts getting really, I want to say visceral Machiavellian, whereas a lot of the cam stuff is about a chess game. You put these guys out and they do different things, right?
True.
With Sabbat, a lot of times you won't even know that there's a Templar in town. And they could literally kill your packmate, look like them, and be there. Of course, you would know because you're in their pack, but still, a lot of times, they come in, you don't know they're there until they start smacking people when it's necessary.
Yep.
That's true.
So,
which is kind of what they did when Lucita was about to kill the other
Moncada. Oh no, Polonia.
The Archbishop from Miami.
Yes.
I keep forgetting his name. But yeah, when
There's
she
Borges,
actually,
Polonia, and Vikos were the three archbishops that were in control.
right. So yeah, when she actually got close to Borges, she had no idea that Tali was in town, ready to fuck shit up, to prevent her from doing any harm to the Sabbat effort. It's the same thing.
Okay. How did I
Whenever,
miss that?
Oh. Yeah, like I don't remember which novel is it, but like Lucita gets close, she starts killing off the advance for the Sabbat.
Yes.
Like one of her targets, and Tali was there waiting for her, and she had no idea that he was.
Oh,
there.
that fight. Okay, yeah, I remember now.
Yeah, I mixed everything up. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
That's all right, man.
Well, see, regarding Tali, what I was going to say is that yes, he does serve Moncada, but as we see and sorry for spoilers, but as we see in Beckett's Jihad Diary, he's still an important player, and he's not only serving one person during the course of the Beckett's Jihad Diary. We see him going around and doing missions, some of which are for Marcus Vitel.
Yes.
And
The-
some of which are not. Some of which are for someone completely different. So yes, he still serves the Sabbat's interest, but he's smart enough and old enough to know that there are things that can kind of go on the back burner so he can accomplish other stuff. Which I feel like is something that a Templar would be smart enough to know. You know, you serve faithfully for however long, and then you start to kind of learn where your wiggle room is at, and what's, you know, the times when what you're doing are serving the interests of the Sword of Cain, and when what you're doing is serving the interests of some archbishop or cardinal who's kind of strong-armed you into doing something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's the same that all the Sabbat has. Well, practically every kindred out there has that. They can be loyal or pretend to be loyal for just so long. And there's going to come a point where they're going to be like, you know what? I want to be the boss now. Or I don't want to play this game.
True.
Yes, and those are the ones that are targeted by Templars.
Mm-hmm.
Or their own pack, or their archbishop, because they'll know. That's the interesting, and it's a double-edged sword with the Valkyrie. On one hand,
True.
you love all your pack mates. You might like some more than others, but you'll do anything for them. And once a year, everybody in a Sabbat city gets together, and they have a giant bloodbath with the archbishop. They anoint him, and then they all drink from it in a giant Valkyrie. So, the whole city is all loyal to each other until you need to kill somebody. Because that's how you leave the Sabbat. You don't leave. You just die.
Kind of like the
don't get that
mafia.
chance. Because your pack mates are so close to you that it makes infiltration extremely hard, but it also makes leaving extremely hard. Because there's no way to break that. Well, yeah, there's no way to break that Valkyrie except for years and years of stuff.
So
Uh-huh.
there are a lot of Archons that have been mentioned in the literature, but other than Tali, I don't know of any other Templars.
Templar Queen?
Yeah.
Well,
Hell, now that you mention it, yeah.
Yeah, he was kind of the face they put out there in front of it.
Yeah, in the novels, no.
Well, no, just in general. I'm like I said, there's a lot of Archons have popped up. There were only 3 mentioned, I think, during the clan wars. The Roman guy, what was his name? The one who didn't Julius, yes, the one that the Malkavian Prince of Atlanta did not like at all.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And then the let's see, Theo Bell gets mentioned, of course.
Theo Bell is like the quintessential Archon.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
why
he's
you used his
everywhere.
picture for the ad.
True.
So, and then what was the third one?
Oh,
oh,
Federico di Padua.
yeah, the Nosferatu,
Right.
the one that gets assassinated, I think.
No, he pretty much got his head bashed in, and he didn't quite die, but they know that he's in torpor, and they don't know when he's going to, or if he's ever going to wake up.
Ah,
Oh,
okay,
that's intense.
yeah.
The
It
thing
would-
about this guy is that he's supposed to be one of the most loyal to the Nosferatu and the Camarilla in general. Like he has noticed that no one ever asked him to become Justicar. He would reject it. Like it said in a book that I read not too long ago, he would reject being Justicar, but he's noticing that no one ever offered him. But he was always there. He was like the ideal Archon that would serve his Justicar and the Camarilla whenever necessary.
I feel like there are other Templars and other Archons that have been mentioned, but
there are in a
I'm
bunch of
really
different
blanking on
families.
any of them.
Well, they're the first four Archons: Gilbert de Harfleur,
What?
Father Jean-Marc de Harfleur. Well, I guess that must
Hello?
be a sire and child situation.
Right.
Frederica de Padua and let's see, Lilica Kairos. I think that was Bruja.
Hey guys.
Hmm?
Can,
Yeah.
can you hear anything?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yes.
Hello, Eric.
Hello?
I think. Did we lose Eric?
No, I don't know. He still sounds like he's still here. Anyway, let's while he's ironing that out, let's just keep
Yeah,
talking.
go on.
We don't do dead air. So, and
Fair
I'm
enough.
looking at a listing here now of a number of other Archons that have been mentioned, I guess, at some point. Anastas de Zagreb, that one's from Vampire the
Tremere.
Eternal Struggle.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the card game does a lot to flesh out some of those other members of the sects and of the clans.
Well, I mean, if you want the perfect guide to Archons and Justicars, the Children of the Night has them all.
That's true. That's true.
Which
Not all of
reminds
them,
me,
but
I
yeah,
should
a lot
check it
of
out
a lot of big names.
Right.
Let's see, I'm looking. There's actually a fairly lengthy list here. Although not all of them have their own pages. I'm
Right.
doing the Templars out of my hand here in the book, and then I'm looking at the wiki for Archons. Because apparently the article on the wiki for Templars is a little bit lacking.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I was right. Kairos was Bruja.
Okay.
Lithrak, Samiti. That one's also from I think. No, that's Children of the Night, the one you mentioned. Lucind, that's the Ventru.
Well, Lucinda was the Justicar.
Yeah.
Lucinda's the Venture Justicar.
Justicar and Alastor.
I'm looking at, okay, it's got her listed as, yeah, you're right. But it also still has her listed as a
Archon.
an Archon, yeah. And then Lucida. Why is she?
Robin. I forgot all about Cock Robin.
Oh yeah, one of the other. Yes, he gets mentioned too. He's the one who gets assassinated.
Yeah.
He's
that's
a
right.
Justicar actually. Thank you.
Well, yeah, but he started as an Archon, and it makes mention of him working his way up from being an Archon.
Oh yeah.
I forgot all about that guy. Ugly Nosferatu.
And it's got Lucida listed as an Archon here too.
Oh, that's wrong.
It's giving a footnote of the Transylvania Chronicles 2.
Hmm.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so we know that there are named characters that are Archons and Justicars and Templars and whatever else. Very good.
All right. So we're still. It looks like
Stars
Eric is.
don't know everything.
It looks like Eric is dropped from the channel. So we're gonna. Hopefully, he's gonna be able to come back.
Right.
Hopefully.
Oh yeah, we're not allowed to use the T word. That's the only word we're not allowed to use. I just got reminded of that.
Tremere?
No.
Yeah.
No. No. Think more mage.
Oh,
And don't say the word.
okay.
No, it seems like anytime a guest or a host mentions that particular organization on the air, we start losing people, and
Absolutely.
it just gets bad.
Oh,
I don't know
man.
why, but it does. So
They're listening.
yeah, that's with Sabrina and New Wave. Those are two of our very special listeners who I keep trying to get New Wave to come on the show, but she's a little shy. So because we don't have as many women. I mean, we have them in the gaming world. It's just really hard to find them to,
You mean in
to
terms
talk
of
on the
guests
show.
and for co-hosts? Yeah.
Yeah, it just doesn't seem to be. Well, Darling Rose, she's been on most recently, and she's itching to come back now because she had so much fun.
She's very knowledgeable.
Oh yeah, she sure is.
But getting back on track.
Yes. Well, we tangent from time to time.
Yeah,
It happens.
Yeah. So getting back on.
So
Templar.
yes, we're still.
I'm checking my Children of the Night book, and while it does mention several noteworthy characters here in the Sabbat, it only mentions Seraphs of the Black Hand, Inquisitors, Archbishops, even how the hell do you mention that? Prissy,
Yeah, Fizzy.
but I don't see a single Bloody Templar.
Weird.
Yeah, see, like I said, the only one I knew about was Tally. I was hoping to learn about some new ones tonight.
Well, I'm sure there are some that we have missed, that we have forgotten about.
Well, I'm looking, like I said, I'm going through the Archons and Templars book, and I'm not exactly sure where in here it would even have them.
There's Vincent Day, but
okay.
he went from Templar to Paladin, so currently he is Paladin.
Okay, so I guess the Paladin is the...
I want to say that Andrew Emery's sire was a Templar or a Paladin. Okay, Demba Makemba Adula was her name. Maybe not. Oh yeah, she's a Templar. Called it. Yes. I remember that because there's a point in the novels where she's sent to come get him, and they ride in complete silence the whole way, and he tries to talk to her, and she says, "I was sent to come and get you, and that's all I can tell you."
Huh. I told you.
Eric's back.
Hey,
Welcome back.
Welcome
Hey!
We carried the torch without you, man.
And we only tangented once while you were gone. I'm pretty impressed. Well, wait a minute. Is he back or not?
What?
Go ahead, Eric.
We have a storm going on here.
Oh,
And,
okay.
Yeah, it'll knock out the cable like all over town. It's really annoying.
That's
But yeah, so I just had to reset my modem and all that crap.
I think I'm on the southern edge of that storm. But I'm close enough to town that I don't tend to lose connection very often.
Right.
Right.
And I have battery backup, which would give us just enough time to for me to shut all this stuff down before things go sideways.
Right on. So where were we, man?
So we can't seem to find any other Templars,
Right.
other than the two or
there's a
three that have been mentioned.
Right.
Yeah, we were
Remember
talking
what I
about the
said
lack of named characters, named NPCs that are out there that hold
Right.
that rank.
Because nobody knows who they all are.
Well, there's
Granted.
got to be more than three.
That's the point. The point being is, yeah, there's three that you know of, but there's more that you don't know of, and that's part of the kind of political conspiracy behind that. You don't always know who a Templar is, and a lot of different archbishops and things like that don't like to play all their chips at once. That makes sense. So typically, like if a pack of Templars, let's say 2 or 3, goes into a town for whatever reason, you'll have one person that'll show up with the packs and say, "Hi, how's it going? I'm a Templar." Maybe, and then you'll have two. Then you'll have 2 more that are all doing the work while everybody's doing their crap. So it's
True.
like, yes, there are 3 guys that are named in the books as NPCs, but the point of Templars is that you don't know who they are, and so you always have like a guy who's the mouthpiece, and then those that serve under him or with him. So that's why there's not a lot in there, because they really wanted to keep that higher mystique,
So,
to let it play out on its own, more or less.
so have
So
any
it's
of you?
mostly the fact that it's like you don't know this person is a Templar, and if he lets you know, it means that you're his target or something like that.
Kinda. It's also one of those things that notoriety is something that builds. So in the example of Tally, everybody knows who Tally is. When people see him, they think, "Oh crap,
Yeah.
there's a Templar / Paladin in my city, and this is bad because he could be here for me." But if you're not him, if you're somebody else, you might have the luxury of coming in kind of under the radar to do your work, whether that work be an assassination or some kind of sabotage or whatever, or even just intelligence gathering.
Yeah. I mean, we're going to get to this in a little bit, but even just knowing there's an Archon in the city, the prince tends to start shaking because they don't know. And I
Sure.
guess it looks like it's the same on the other side as well. Is that they start, the bishop of the city will, "Oh shit, there's a freaking Templar here? Oh, what did I do?"
Well, see, the difference there to me is that bishops are not just the equivalency of princes. Archbishops also are not just, "Oh, that's the Sabbat prince of the city." It's not the same thing. So yes, they'll definitely be kind of worried. They'll definitely be trying to be discreet about whatever it is that they've been doing if it's not kosher with the rest of the sect. But also the appearance of a Templar in a city, or the appearance of a Templar in a city precludes something bigger. Partly because they tend to be sent by the cardinals, or the prissy, it's one of those things that if they're showing up in your city may have just been selected for a
Destruction.
staging ground for a crusade or something like that.
I mean,
But
we
that's
can all
not going to
agree
be the first thing that comes to mind, though.
No. But
Well,
the point
actually-
is, the point is that this means that something big is happening in your city. Not necessarily that, hey, somebody's here to keep eyes on you, but more like, hey, this is something big is about to be going down.
Mm-hmm.
It could be like there's someone that has a certain notoriety, negative notoriety, that just walked into your city, and we're gonna have to fix that.
Right.
Or there's Camarilla infiltrated in here, and we have to clean the ranks. And something
Right.
like that, right?
So, do any of you have experience with using Templars or Paladins
Yes, I do.
on the Sabbat side in your games, NPC
wee
or
bit.
PC?
Well, I have had the nice pleasure of running a Sabbat LARP for many years. And
Very cool.
also, pretty much almost every time I run tabletop, I usually end up playing Sabbat in some way, shape, or form. Actually, the use of Templars is pretty weird because they're not like an Archon where it's like, I serve this Justicar, therefore you have to do what I say. Right? Where
Sure.
that thing, the very, title of Archon puts fear in somebody.
Right.
For the most part, Templars kind of help out with the way the city works. They're kind of like, I would say, an army of sheriffs is about the best equivalent I can give you.
Kind of, sort of.
Yeah. And, there's a lot of different rite and ritual that goes with that also. Plus, you also have, you have Templars that stay in a city and work with people. You also have Templars that rove around doing, escorting an archbishop, or they're kind of like a really weird dark knight sort of thing. It's kind of one of the best analogies I can give you. But then again, you've also got the Templars of the Inquisition, which is an entirely different thing altogether.
Very true.
Which we can start talking about that now.
All right.
I like the Inquisition. They're so much fun.
So
What
I've
do you
used
guys
the
know about it?
Inquisition in one chronicle that I ran. It was the idea was that the Inquisition was taking a close look at the city, and the players were a Sabbat pack, mid-level, and were trying to decide if they should be helping them or getting in their way, or what, and if there was actually some kind of evidence of infernal or Bali activity, or if the Inquisition was here for some other purpose, and that was a cover. It went pretty well, all things considered.
So I'm looking at this. This was something I did not know until just now. Is that the paladins are basically, how should I put this? Upgraded Templars, and that they get this really cool tabard, a gilded and ermine trim tabard, apparently, to wear. And it's actually not wearing it to a table meeting can be considered a silent vote of how did they put it here? Okay, hold on. Oop.
So the way I look at that is, as I've mentioned before, some Templars will be promoted to become paladins and then placed as in an advisory role, kind of like part of a war council.
Disapproval of current policy was what I was trying to get to.
Yes, this guy sucks. We don't like him.
I was thinking that Paladin was more like an assigned bodyguard, like a sworn bodyguard for someone in the higher spheres. But
I think that's probably one of the things that they can be placed as.
Yeah, it's really like the weird thing about this, the Templar, the Sabbat side of this is the nature of the Sabbat itself. It's not exactly the best organized thing on the planet.
Mm-mm.
You've got a bunch of pissed off, raging vampires for the most part. And you have to try to keep control of those guys. And if the rank and file doesn't work, then you've got other guys that can do it. So in a lot of cases, it's like if you need somebody to fix something somewhere, and you want it to have pomp and circumstance, which some guys really like that in the Sabbat, you send a paladin in.
Right.
And say, hey, I'm the paladin of butt munch in Idaho, whatever. then they know that his voice is going to carry the weight of that archbishop as
Right.
well. And that's the tabard that they give, and so they, that was one of the things that I guess they never really went more into.
Well, apparently the 20th anniversary book gave us a little bit more insight into that
Wow.
because the even the
Yeah, I don't
Archons
count-
Templars.
I don't count V20 as anything. I'm sorry.
Okay, fair enough.
Well, the only reason, and I've said this over and over again, was I got really hyped for it because I thought, okay, I don't have to buy a bunch of books. I can have one book and hand it out to my players. And then I found out that they just rewrote the game, and that was really annoying to me.
Eric,
Basically.
you're gonna need to speak up a little more.
Oh, sorry, man.
Sorry.
I was slouching there.
And actually, what Eric was saying is one thing I was thinking of, that the Sabbat within its organization, it's not really organized. So each one of their positions, their titles, and we're not really going to find an exact equivalent on the Camarilla, because
True.
like Peter was saying, like a paladin can be an advisor, a paladin can be a bodyguard, or it could be anything. And same thing with the Templar. They can be just silent assassins. They can be there to just keep the order, or like we saw it in the clan novels. Tally was there to make sure that whoever was plotting to assassinate one of the three archbishops would just fail,
Right.
which he failed to do. But
Yes,
it,
he
it
did.
could be almost
Well,
anything.
he probably didn't expect it to be Lucita showing up.
That's
Oh,
true
yeah.
too. But I think Moncada might have suspected, hence the reason he sent Tally instead of some other flunky.
True.
That's never really covered, but that's the impression I got, was that he knew that he knew where she was. Well, sort of. He knew she was in the United States anyway, and that she had gotten a contract, I guess.
Yeah. Moncada was always that master manipulator who had his fingers in all the pies.
Mm-hmm.
So that's true. Kyde,
Yes, sir.
have you ever used Templars or Paladins or the like in any games you've run or played?
I vaguely used a paladin one time, mostly because in 98% of my games that I have ran, the players choose Camarilla because it's like the easy mode, or because
I don't know about all
I
that.
wouldn't say that, but okay, sure.
well, I mean, yeah, if you think about it, being Sabbat is just destroy everything, set it on fire. Like that's the general consensus. Like some players that I've had that choose Sabbat, that's all they do. They don't really
that's
take
unfortunate.
anything seriously, so to speak, being a game. But like that's all they want to do. They want to just kill people, embrace left and right, and not do anything correctly. Well,
Oh, that's
orderly.
boring.
Well, that's where, like, everybody else comes in.
Yeah.
Right.
In order to do a Sabbat game, you got to really stamp that like in the bud at the beginning. Because
Absolutely.
for instance, like take a path for instance, pick one, any one, but there is no path of do whatever the hell I want. It doesn't exist.
Exactly.
The Sabbat vampires are actually held to a higher standard of morality, as twisted as it might be to us, than anything else, because they are shredding their humanity away. Now, to the Camarilla, of course, that looks like they're slabbering monsters that just want to do all that stuff. But the politics involved in it is actually is a lot more cutthroat, because of the fact that it's really hard to act against somebody in your pack, and things of that nature. So if you have a guy that thinks that, that's when you inform him otherwise, and that's, I guess, for me as storytelling a Sabbat game, that's one of the most important things of all. Is you got to maintain that kind of structure in that sort of game, because if you just let everybody go hippity dippity, it degrades really fast,
That's true.
and then people don't have fun.
That's true. I feel like there's the bot basic that people would expect, and that's you're playing a pack and you're taking the Valkyrie and you're playing the pack games and running around and killing things, and then there's more involved. And I think that the Guide to the Sabbat gave us a lot more involvement and a lot more tools for running a really coherent Sabbat game and a Sabbat city with a lot of different facets for it. Now, that's not going to be for every troop. It's not going to be for every game, but the tools are out there for sure.
Right.
Yeah,
And that's actually what the problem started with my players, because they would be complete fools and just setting everything on fire and whatnot, and they would start being picked up one by one, and one would die because someone was hunting him because he was fucking shit up. The other one would set everything around him on fire, therefore he catches fire, and they would get mad because they would pretty much kill themselves and they would blame me, which is why I never play with that group again.
That's unfortunate.
No, I just always have a rule that you can do anything you want, but just remember there's consequences.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
You don't live in a vacuum.
Mm-mm.
But the other side of the coin to the Sabbat, and it's a very big part of the Sabbat, is that there's an actual spirituality within the Sabbat, and that is just as important, if not more important. That's why every pack has a pack priest. That's why the bishop or archbishop of a city will hold the different rites and things like that. And not every one of the rites is let's go out and kill something. As a matter of fact, that's only one rite, and there are a ton of different rituals that the Sabbat does.
Oh, yeah.
And they do that to become closer, sort of like a weird, strange church, honestly.
That's exactly right. Or you might also look at it as a cult.
Yeah, because everybody, considered them a Gehenna cult at first,
Right.
But the big part of that spirituality is also involved in Templars, which is the Inquisition. Because the Sabbat are so monstrous, demons love them. So, like Bali or any other random demon will find ways to mess with and infect them. I think I made a mistake once, and I introduced a Bali NPC to my Sabbat game, but I gave it to a really smart player.
Uh-huh.
And by the time he was done with the first game, he knew everybody's secrets.
Oh.
Damn.
Like, literally.
See, I don't feel like that's a mistake. I think that's a really fun game.
Oh no, I feel him. I'm right there with him, actually.
Up until the point where I realized that in basically a couple of strokes, this NPC could have laid waste to the entire game.
Right.
And that's when me and the player that was playing him said, "Yeah, we got to pull this back." But the Inquisition is a really weird thing.
Now, is this the same Inquisition? Is the new? We've been hearing some stuff from B5.
No.
Okay.
Completely different.
You're talking about that. That's apparently the second Inquisition, or as we've been known, Kindred have been known to call it the Great Burning. So I guess okay.
You're talking historically the Inquisition, and then the Burning Times, and then now V5 will introduce us to the Second Inquisition. That's all mortals acting against vampires. Eric, I think, is talking about the Sabbat Inquisition.
Oh, okay, them. Okay.
Right, which was founded to hunt down the Infernalists and so on and so forth that might act against the Sabbat.
Yes. More importantly, against the spirituality of everything that holds the Sabbat together.
Right.
That is that they are the children of the Sword of Cain, the children of Cain, and they believe the Book of Nod is word, gospel. It's not just also or the Inquisition, the Sabbat Inquisition. So I'm not gonna, we're just talking about Sabbat right now. So I'm gonna say
Right.
Inquisition. They do other things besides just look for Infernalists. They also find if a pack priest is going way crazy on the different rites and doing a bunch of stuff, they'll pull them before, but they always have a trial. All right.
Yep.
And what the Inquisition does is that when they think that there's something spiritually wrong with a city, they'll come in with this giant like pomp and circumstance, right?
Mhm.
And it's kind of like a big show, and then they present themselves and say, because the Inquisition can pretty much do whatever they want. They'll go in and say, okay, they'll just start bringing people in and start questioning them, and it becomes, really, like the actual Inquisition was, where you find two or people, and then you try to find all the connections, and usually somebody ends up getting, if they don't find anything, they'll usually offer up somebody just for, appearances and then leave. But yeah, they also deal with, let's say, I'm trying to think of an example here of somebody complete like breaking of different. Oh man, give me a second here, man.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm flipping through and trying to find what I'm trying to talk about here. But yeah, they deal with more of the the church's enemies, so to speak. They use infernalism for their own ends. Like if somebody really wants to get a bug and thinks that they can talk the Inquisition into taking out one of their enemies, they'll do
that's
that.
true. That's true because the Inquisition feels like that's a misuse of their resources and taking them away from their true goal, and then consequently hurting the Sabbat, and then that'll result in them lashing back out at whoever does that.
By the way, this is for the folks in the chat. If you'd like to get your Templar questions answered, go ahead and put them up in chat. We'd be happy to try anyway. This is the part where I'm trying to solicit some topics from the because we've still got about 10 minutes left. Just 10 minutes on the Templar half of the show.
Right.
Oh.
Right. Then we'll move on to the Archons as well.
Yes. So, anyway, did you find what you were looking for, Eric?
What? Huh? Sorry, I got distracted.
I said,
really easy to do
did you
sometimes.
find what you're looking for? Apparently not.
I forgot what the hell I was looking for. Thanks, Scott.
Say this is why I'm quitting smoking, because the coughing stuff really gets on
And
my
one of the
nerves.
interesting things about the Inquisition is that each individual the Inquisitors themselves, are they're given this thing called the Iron Reliquary.
Yes,
It's
Yeah.
a badge
I
of
just read
office.
about that.
Yeah, it's kind of an interesting thing because you can do different. If you're a storyteller, you can do inventive things with it. Like making it the power of an entire pack and stuff like that.
You need to
and the
speak
other
up.
ones- the other thing that they use it in ordeals where a lot of times, the ordeals to prove that you're innocent are the same thing as dunking witches.
Yeah.
All right, where it's what they'll do is they'll like one of the things that's a description that they give is that they'll burn it, put it in fire till it's red hot, and then you have to hold on to it for to the count of 13 without going into rot shrek.
Yeah, good luck with
Damn.
that.
Yeah, and if you go into rot shrek, you're killed.
If you're going to
If you don't-
Rostrek, you're guilty.
Right.
Of course.
Then you can
And you
let
deserve
go.
to be
Yeah.
killed.
So any sort of types of things like that you can think of are how they actually deal with the criminals, quote quote, that you will find, that they'll find as being a heretic and a traitor of Cain, especially people that are like those that are on the path of Lilith. They don't like Lilith, and they don't like Lilins, and they will do they try to include them in every infernal thing that they do.
Oh yeah, they have a beef with them.
That's true. That's true. Oh, also, I thought it was interesting to note that the members of the Inquisition are not allowed to be members of the Black Hand, and vice versa.
Yes.
They do not play well with each other.
Actually, it's in the not the purchase pact. I can't. What's the main?
From the Convention of Thorns?
No, there was 2 Sabbat civil wars. After the
Okay.
first Sabbat civil war, they made an agreement called the Purchase Pact. Oh yeah, and then the last agreement they made was called the Code of Milan.
The Code
And
of
that's
Milan,
pretty
of
much
course.
the rules that govern, and in the Code of Milan, it specifically says the Inquisition cannot, invite. It says that like in, almost exactly the way you said it.
Yeah, they're independent organizations, and they intend to stay that way.
Also, for those of you that would like to check out the V20 stuff, the book on the Black Hand from the 20th anniversary edition
The
of Vampire,
Talmudra.
yeah, that one goes into great detail on the Sabbat Inquisition, as well as on the Black Hand.
Dude, I've been
that's
wanting
not
to
the
get
real
theirs
Black.
for a long time.
That's not the Black Hand.
Well, that's the Talmud Herat, but what I'm saying is the book has a very extensive section on the
Inquisition.
Inquisition, on the Sabbat Inquisition.
Okay.
And the only reason I knew that is because it's come up before on one of the other shows. I can't remember exactly which one it was, but it wasn't a vampire show. I do remember that much. Because my original co-host is a big Sabbat player.
Mm-hmm.
He's much more fond of that side of this equation, which is why I thought, that would always be a good idea, is to have some dissenting viewpoints. tends to spice up the conversations a bit. It's much fun.
You mean when I'm going to start messing with you in our next segment when we talk about Archons?
Absolutely.
Where I can say, "Hi, Target, how you doing?"
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. But see, that was the thing. Even well, we'll get to that here in about 7 minutes, give or take. So let's go ahead and wrap up the Templar stuff. If there's anything else that's sticking out that you might.
Okay. Well, regarding Templars themselves, I always include at least one when I'm building a Sabbat city. At least one. I like the idea of having multiple, because if you have the one, players will tend to look at it as the Sabbat sheriff, and that's really just a gross understatement of what a Templar is. Having multiple gives it more feel of it being different, of it being something completely different.
And on top of that, that's also how the bishops and archbishops pull their strings. If they have 3 people and things get screwed up, they can blame one, get rid of him, and just grab another person.
True.
The one who didn't drop a name.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
When you guys were talking about the Inquisition, the only thing I could think of was, what we burn apart from witches? More witches. I'm sorry, it just did. It just came up. I couldn't get it to go away. I thought you might get a kick out of it. So, are there no Templar questions in the chat, guys? None
Not
whatsoever?
yet. None
Ow.
whatsoever. What I will say though, I did have a really good time when I brought the Inquisition into the LARP, the Sabbat LARP I was running.
Ooh.
Because he was a harbinger of skulls,
Huh.
and it was after the Bali thing, and I went ahead and costumed up and everything, and it was really, it creeped people out, and these are guys that were like, oh, we're gonna kill everything, and then this dude walks in. it was a lot of fun to say the least, because it's the sort of thing that just everybody stops everything that they're doing, and does whatever.
Hmm.
You want to start talking about Archons?
Well, we can. I was just going to give the chat a few more minutes here to see if they have anything else to say about this. If you guys have any plugs.
I was totally wrong. The Sabbat Inquisition stuff is not in the Black Hand book, but in Rites of the Blood for V20.
Oh.
Oh.
So, my mistake.
No,
The-
it
I want to
happens.
get them both.
So, though they may talk about it a little bit, but really the Infernalism stuff is all in the Black Hand book.
Yeah.
And Bahari are in there as well, if that matters. Anyway.
I'm so outdated in a bunch of things because I have the V20 and I have the V20 companion, and that's all I have. I haven't gotten any of the other books.
Huh. Yeah, I'll tell you, outside of the core books are okay and great, but it seems like some of the best information comes out of the peripheral stuff. Like the book I've got, on my lap right now, Archons and Templars, or
Absolutely.
the blood magic, secrets of thaumaturgy, shit like that. That's where all the fun stuff starts happening.
Yes.
Is
So-
all these peripherals.
Well, one
Looks
of the
like we've
cool
got a
things-
question.
Yeah, I was about to. It's just, so, New Wave Masquerade is asking, are there any specific clans or bloodlines that are best suitable for the role of Templar or Archon?
No.
Well,
One.
to hear the Brujas talk about it, they make better Archons than anybody else. But I got news. The Tremere have a few nasty Archons in their past, too.
Whoa, why would you drop that name like that?
Not that. That's not the T word. That ain't it.
No, the T word is to. Never mind. That's the other T word.
Yes. So no, it's the and oddly
no,
enough, Nosferatu make awesome Archons.
Nosferatu
Oh,
for
yeah.
sure, especially in the ability to get in and out of places unnoticed.
Yes, and I would think they'd make a pretty decent Templar too. If you're anti-tribu, of course.
Assamites as well. On the Templar side, Assamite anti-tribute.
Oh yeah.
What
there you
about
go.
Gangrel?
I can.
Gangrel?
least-
They're funny. I mean, outside of Javier, who started off as an Archon too, by the way. I just don't see a lot of, especially in the list. I don't see a lot of Gangrel. There are a few, but there seems to be predominantly Bruja and Tremere and Nosferatu for the most part.
Well,
Yeah, I
can
think
answer-
Javier just had this thing that he didn't really think himself like he thought himself above having help or something like that.
Well, I can
Well,
answer
I mean-
at least part of this question really quickly. As far as clans and bloodlines for an Archon, that is pretty much anything. I guess I guess the main thing is that it's not like a build,
True.
It's not like
Well, no.
if I play this guy with his powers, I'm gonna make a cool Templar or a cool Archon. It's one of those kind of, I guess, not really positions, but things that can really apply to just about anybody as long as they do their job. So a Templar and an Archon, I would say, is more of a job than dependent on clan or bloodline or anything else, because there's Archons
That's-
of all clans, all Templars of all clans, and so on and so forth. It's not like I'm going to build a thief,
That's pretty true. In that regard, I feel like both roles are pretty well suited for player characters. So, because, they're expected to be experienced with combat in the sense of being able to handle themselves if an Archon comes upon a Sabbat pack, or if a Templar is infiltrating and runs into a coterie. They're expected to handle themselves and eliminate the people that are threatening them. But beyond that, they're selected for roles. Hey, I need somebody who's going to be investigative and inquisitive.
Mm-hmm.
You're
Oh, we
promoted.
got another question
Congratulations.
here. New Wave is asking, would Serpents of the Light be allowed to become a Templar? Would the Sabbat be against it?
I think they'd be fine doing it. The Serpents of the Light are always one of the ones that gets looked at with some scrutiny by higher ups within the sect. But beyond that, yeah, I don't see a reason why they wouldn't. And in fact, their usage of magic would give them a bit of an edge.
It can, but I thought long and hard about that, and what parts of thaumaturgy could be useful. And to be honest, there aren't a lot. Not for that job, unless you're going to use divination or something.
Forensic thaumaturgy.
Yeah. So no, it was I went down the other path with mine anyway, and firearms, so on. More martial stuff than mystical.
And FB Fulton 90 wants to know why we have no Malk love.
There's only 4 listed as far as Archons. And as we've mentioned, nobody seems to know who the damn Templars are.
Yeah,
I think that's a well-kept secret.
Which is rare in our world.
Like how the Regent's actually dead.
What do you mean? What? Huh?
The Regent died and has been replaced by somebody that looks just like her.
Oh, a doppelganger.
No, it's Misi, but
Oh,
yeah, yeah. So there's a lot of secrets and stuff within the Sabbat, and they get lost really quickly because the attrition rate's pretty high.
yeah.
Then also, like with the question that New Wave asked, Sabbat isn't like there's not a lot of clan politics going on. There just isn't, because it's all these clans working together for one common goal: to
within the
destroy
Sabbat.
Antediluvians.
Yeah, within the Sabbat, clan doesn't mean as much.
That's why they even accept the Kyde as another clan.
Yeah, the Panders.
Yeah, well, Panders. Whereas the Camarilla, they are pretty much on a "if I see you, I kill you" basis. They don't like Kyde at all. But the Sabbat, they just take them over. They even gave them the title of clan as Panders.
Right.
So yeah, I think in the Sabbath, if you earn it through blood and fighting, you can definitely keep it.
Well, and the
Extreme cunning. You gotta
the
can't
right
beat that.
the rite of monomacy really kind of helps thin that out from people that were not deserving of the rank.
Right.
Yeah, but it's also the extremely important. It's one of those things that you don't use that lightly. If you're going to challenge somebody to monomancy, it's got to be approved and in front of everybody, type of thing.
Very true.
You can't just go, I want to kill that guy.
You
Let's
look
do
me
it.
sideways.
Yeah, and monomancy is also the way that a lot of different packs and stuff deal with leadership. Like, for instance, let's say that you and your pack all decide that your bishop or your ductus is not up to speed, right? So then, you go to your bishop or archbishop and say, hey, this guy's not doing us any good. Gives them all the other stuff. And then they fight. And the whole defender chooses and the whole ritual's there. So there's an actual kind of weird process that goes on with that to make it so that everybody's not just saying, oh, they don't just devolve into warring packs. And yes, it's possible, New Wave, for anybody to be a Templar, any clan, any vampire, as long as you can serve a purpose to somebody.
Yeah, the like you said earlier, there's a lot less clan politics on the Sabbat side of things. Unless you're talking to a La Sombra, and then they want to talk about it behind everybody else's back, but that's beside the point.
No, the Samba are upfront about it.
Oh,
We rule the Sabbat. Zamisi takes care of the spirituality. There you go.
Right.
That's
if you have problems with your pack ductist, you might as well just put the War Ghoul in charge.
Those are extremely hard to make.
So, all right,
Extremely
so
hard to kill.
So we're talking about Archons now.
right.
Listing some of these, we've got. Whereas the Templars don't, at least as far as I can tell from the book, don't seem to have nearly the same structure that the Cam likes doing with everything that they're involved with. Everything has to be in its place, blah, blah, blah. And they've got a couple of groups of Archons, types of Archons, like Praetors, which is apparently they don't last long. It's given the Archon is given the title just until the particular assignment is over with. Then you've got the Alasters, those guys who specifically hunt the red list.
Right.
And then you've got
Actually,
Go ahead.
Justicar Lucind was the first Alistor.
Oh, okay. That's the Ventru.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then the dog catchers, you know what they do? They specifically hunt werewolves. That just doesn't sound healthy.
Nope.
I have a question from Molly sitting right next to me.
Okay.
What is an Archon?
It's a Latin word meaning ruler, but it's basically that when a new Justicar is raised to that level, they recruit.
Speaks for the entire clan.
Yeah. They recruit from. They don't just because it's a Malkavian Justicar doesn't necessarily mean their Archons are going to be all Malkavian. They recruit from the best, and if a Justicar is either destroyed or steps down, then those Archons go back to doing whatever they were doing beforehand, because very few Justicars will accept another Justicar's Archons.
Okay, so what is an Archon?
Basically, the enforcement arm of the Justicars.
Yeah, it's technically a recognized agent of one of the Justicars of the Camarilla.
Okay, so like, the Justicon is like a judge and an
Okay, dead air. Okay, is
yeah,
that
sorry,
going to answer the question?
I was getting the clarification.
Oh,
Yeah, she's got it.
okay. And then we've got doppelgangers. Those are the ones I mentioned earlier. These are the deep cover guys. The guys who actually are willing to walk in to Sabbat territory.
Right.
And then the E division, which is, oddly enough, it's those guys that deal with the mystical side of things. If some of the sketchy shit that happened on the run up supposedly to Gehenna, they were the ones who were at the forefront of trying to find out what was true, what was rumor, what was, how bad is this about to get. Then you got the Josians. They are specifically set up to destroy Gehenna cults. They're more Nodus scholars than anything else, to be honest. And then and I can't even pronounce this one. Quasitor?
The Quasitors, yeah.
Yeah, those guys. Those are mostly my clan. They're specifically there to deal with any of the fallout from the E division, essentially.
Right.
And they also are the ones who hunt Colden and Rogue Tremere.
Whoa. So basically the anti-tribu. Tremere. They're
Yes.
supposed to not exist.
Not anymore. Well, that is if Gehenna never happened, the run up did. We've had a show on that actually about whether or not Gehenna was actually happened or did it or is it ever going to happen kind of thing. And it was because with the exception of the one that was possessed by the Eye of Hazamel, all the rest were gone. Except for Goratrix, of course. And then we found out exactly what happened there. Because Zolat.
Solot?
Yeah, no, he has many, many names. I try to get them in if I can. And has Tremere's body. Tremere has Goratrix's body, and Goratrix is hanging out in the Phantom Zone.
In theory. If any of that happened.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
not really sure.
and that's that.
We will find out in 2 days. At least I will.
Correct.
Anyway.
I know, right?
Some of it. So speaking in terms of Archons, other than having their assigned roles, Archons serve the will of the Justicars, and whatever the Justicar wants them to look into, they are sent to look into. And if there's something that they feel like is not a major deal and they can handle it, then they handle it. And if it's something that's beyond their scope, then they are supposed to notify the Justicar that sent them and say, hey, I found major evidence of something happening here. Whatever that threat happens to be that would threaten not just that city, but that would threaten the Camarilla. Or, the Justicars or the Inner Circle or whatever.
Yeah, but the Inner Circle doesn't exist.
Right, that. So,
What inner circle? What are you talking
Yeah,
about?
exactly. We don't talk about these people.
so the idea is that they're
Three-eyed
they're
bat.
kind of going in there to find out what's up. And the problem with that is that kind of like when the FBI come in to a town and take over stuff from the small town cop or even big city cop, there's this kind of power struggle that occurs where they don't really want to tell them everything that's going on. They're afraid they're going to get looked down on, or they're afraid to air their dirty laundry, and so on and so forth. So if an Archon comes to town, the prince, their first thought is, oh crap,
Mm-hmm.
there's an Archon here, and my numbers, my population numbers are way higher than they're supposed to be because I've been really lax on enforcing that tradition within the masquerade. So that's just one possible thing that could be really bad.
Yeah, and that was my specialty was masquerade violations.
Oh yeah,
Dealt with them really well too. That and diablerie was also one of my pet peeves. Had issues. Couple of
Yeah,
flaws. Mine
I
needed
have no problem with that whatsoever.
right?
Yeah, but actually, when an Archon goes to a city, he has to follow the tradition of going to the prince and tell him, hey, I'm here.
Yeah, domain.
Yeah, but other than that, an Archon doesn't answer to anyone other than the Justicar.
Well, it's also one of the few kindred who could roll through a town and completely diss the prince by not following the first tradition, and most princes will let it slide because if that Archon wasn't there for them, keep right on rolling, dude.
Are you gonna tell no to the Archon?
No, usually they don't speak to Archons unless something goes bad, and if an Archon's in your city, something bad is either happening or is about to happen.
Right.
And very rarely will you'll see an Archon coming into town to deal with a prince. It doesn't seem to happen as often as some would like you to believe.
Well,
yeah, I mean,
Go ahead.
go ahead, Eric.
the way I see it is, I mean, honestly, working with Archons is different, really different than Templars
Oh yeah.
Very true.
because of well, I mean, we discussed Templars, but um, the way I've always looked at them is that they're if I'm doing an Elders game, then I'd bring in Archons. You know,
Yeah.
And then
Well, shit.
you never-
Archons, plural. Holy crap! Something really bad has to be happening.
no, as in like the body of people that are called Archon. There's more than one.
You have to speak up. I didn't catch any of that, dude.
I'm not saying that a group of Archons, is will be involved in it. I'm just using Archons as
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, but still, the thought of more than one Archon in a
Right.
city it just
And
would
honestly-
scare the absolute living shit out of anybody there.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, the other, I guess, thing is, I mean, the way I look at it, an Archon in a Camarilla game, anyway, is if the game as a whole has gone way south. And and most of the time I use them in LARPs as opposed to tabletop because of the scope of the game.
Yes.
The scope is just completely different if you got 5 dudes chilling on, or 100 people in a room,
Mm-hmm.
So if that room of people if everything starts to go south, right, and people are just beating, doing stupid stuff, that's when the Archon comes in, and that's a good way as a storyteller to tamp down on well, honestly, dumb stuff, Like, it's usually not a good idea to walk into a bus station with cameras and eat everybody.
No. That will definitely get somebody's attention.
And, different
sure.
masquerade breaches. I mean, most of those are handled by the prince, and whoever is sheriff or whatever he has.
The Scourge.
But if an Archon is coming to deal with a masquerade violation, it's a huge one.
Yeah.
Yeah, something happened in a stadium or something like that.
Right. It's something that they're going to have to call in specialists to cover it all up, and and then after they're done dealing with the problem, then they find those responsible.
And the one who was supposed to be in charge and not doing it right.
That's the other thing is, yeah, if an Archon shows up in town, princes do start sweating. They truly
But one of
do.
the things I was going to talk about with Archon versus Prince is this. Yes, Archon's answer to the Justicars and Princes theoretically do as well, but the Prince of a city is such because he's the most powerful physically or politically or both within the city. So if an Archon thinks he can come around and start bullying a prince, he's got another thing coming to him. Any prince worth his salt has himself protected and set up and ready so that, yes, he's going to be wary about the Archon and he's not just going to dismiss him, but, he should not roll over for him. He should not show his throat or anything like that.
No. But
Right, obviously.
On the one hand, in addition, he doesn't want to look weak.
that's what I was going to say.
Everybody recognizes that he's the one who cracks down on you. He's the one who's in charge. It's very much like that mafia mentality. Hey man, if I let you slide, then everybody else is going to think I'm weak, and I can't have that.
Nope.
So, not that there's an inherent power struggle between the two, but just to say that yes, an Archon is technically above, but a prince could very easily have him erased from existence, and then
That means
all he
there'll
has
be
to
2
do is-
Archons next time.
right.
And 3.
Or he may
Yes.
not know that there are more here. So, it's one of those things where you kind of have to be careful about what you're doing.
Exactly.
it's-
And the Justicar's not going to tolerate a prince just blithely dismissing the Archon either.
Right. And then the flip side of that is the Archon should understand that when he comes into a city, he should understand, you're coming into someone else's territory. Yes, they serve the Camarilla, and so do you, but it's his law here. He's the prince. The prince is the prince's domain.
Mm-hmm.
His word is
Precisely.
absolute here. So if he tells the sheriff and whoever else to take you out, there's not much you can do about it. And while yes, you may have your death avenged by your boss and your other Archon buddies,
Yeah, but
you're still dead.
Yeah, you're still dead.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's one of those things where you have to be careful whose buttons you're pushing and why. So
Well,
I feel like
if an Archon is
precludes a
coming
certain
into
level of mutual
town
respect.
specifically to remove a prince, the prince won't know he's there until it's too late.
Right.
Right.
Right, but
But
whenever
it
an
doesn't
Archon
happen
comes in-
very often, which is an upside, I guess.
Right.
But the
Yeah,
other
if-
thing is, it's one of the few kindred who could actually technically get away with violating Elysium. If he takes out the prince, there's nobody there to call the Lex. So, and you just look at the Primogen and go, which one of y'all want the job? And I guarantee you, the new prince is not going to be as upset about this as the rest of them would be.
Right.
So I want to ask you guys this then. Besides rolling a city, what else do Archons do?
Well, as I mentioned, the different groups, like dog catchers, which are my favorites, by the way. I think they're awesome.
Oh God.
Let me, I guess, clarify. What other things would bring an Archon to a city?
Okay, so I can give you an example that I had pop up in my still running Vampire Metachronicle or World of Darkness Metachronicle. In the first chronicle, because we're I don't know, we're probably 10 chronicles in. In the first storyline that we ran, the whole thing was ramping up towards the awakening or the arrival of an ancient who was a Methuselah, and eventually it showed up after we had gotten, I don't know, 30 or 40 games in. Eventually it shows up, and this whole concerted effort of everyone involved was able to take it down, and that's cool. It worked, and the good guys won the day, if you will. But then we jump forward a year, and we've got an Archon sniffing around because rumors are that an ancient was spotted here, and so they're here to investigate and say, "Hey, I heard this is happening. What can you tell me?" And so that was one of the fallouts, because remember that when we're talking about the masquerade and the traditions, according to the Camaria's official line, the antediluvians don't exist.
Nope.
And the Methuselahs
Nothing
don't
to
exist
see here.
either. So if if there's some concrete evidence like that floating around, then they need to make sure that that is contained. So that's a really good example.
With
that I can point.
high enough level dominate, you can actually rewrite memories. So yeah, I can believe that there are other ways, less permanent ways, to deal with anybody who may be witness to that particular event.
Right.
But killing is so much easier to do.
Right.
What about whites?
Oh, that's a good one too.
Hold on. What?
What?
Oh, a white is a white is a vampire who's fallen
To the beast.
to,
Oh yeah.
to the beast.
Okay.
and they're kind of slavering. I would say that a white is a problem for a prince and the local establishment to deal with.
Yes.
But if it's something that becomes more of an epidemic, then yeah, I could easily see an Archon being sent to investigate and or just clean house.
And I don't technically think that this is rolling up a city, but say you start getting you lose half of the kindred population of a city due to diablerie, but you don't know who's doing it. And even the prince might have an issue figuring that one out. So yeah, that's also something that an Archon might actually show up for.
Well, apparently, at least according to this book, on the white thing, uh, normally if it's just like a little, I guess, 13th generation guy who went too far,
Right.
yeah, they can take care of that
Sure.
as far as the prince and his guys.
Yeah.
But the problem with anybody like powerful, even one of the other, like even 10th or other generations above that, is that when they become that way, they're too powerful, honestly, for a single prince or a sheriff to take down. They actually have like teams of archons that they hate the job, they know it's their job, so they have to fly out, take care of the problem, kill the dude, and bail.
Mm-hmm.
So they have like a whole group of dudes that do that. That's like
That
one
makes
of
sense.
their things is they go, oh, there's one, and they go get it.
Now the prince will, if the archon's not there for them, a prince will go out of his way to help that archon just to get him the hell out of his city quicker.
Yes.
Or better yet, to get in good graces with his Justicar
Yes.
and him himself.
Or the inner circle.
Yep.
But we've already established they don't exist.
Because trust me, one thing that's really cool is having a boon from an archon.
No doubt, right?
That's true. And the boon system really becomes a lot more important when you're dealing with major players like that.
Well,
Oh,
I'll
yeah.
tell you what. I mean, in a live action setting, it's status is everything. And honestly, you can take somebody, I mean, out. Not really kill. You don't have to kill them, but you can.
Stake them.
No, you can take them out politically.
Oh,
You can take their status so far down that no matter how powerful they are, eventually they're just going to be, shoved out or dealt with if they go rogue.
True.
so let's see. What other options do you have there for now? In the lead up to the Gehenna that never happened, some of the sketchy shit that was going on in various places, the Justicars, it even frightened them. At least back in the old storyline.
Oh, yeah.
And so they would send archons out to check, to make sure that the rumors that they heard. There were a couple of cities where every kindred in the city just disappeared.
Yes.
And that would be something that I'd want to know more about.
If I were a Justicar, yes, I would be deploying teams to
Yes,
find
sir.
out.
Oh boy. So yeah, there are various uses. They appear to be not nearly as flexible as the Templars, as far as what they do. But archons aren't bodyguards. That was
No.
never even in their charter.
No.
Okay,
Not
so like I said, the archons and Templars aren't exactly equal. They really aren't. Now that I've learned some new stuff tonight, thank you guys, I appreciate it,
Yep.
about Templars. That's the kind of thing that I think makes the Sabbat a bit more flexible in general. Is because their roles don't seem to have direct equivalents among the cam.
It's because it's two completely different styles of game, and two
That's-
completely different ways of looking at being a vampire. You have the Camarilla that's trying to hide from them.
And the Sabbat don't care.
A cam game
Well,
is supposed to basically be about politics for the most part, and this
some
is just a generalization. I'm sorry for that though. Whereas politics and struggling with your own humanity,
Right.
the whole beast thing.
that's true.
It's pretty prevalent. It's supposed to be anyway. And then with the Sabbat, you're on a holy crusade, right? And that drives what the Sabbat does. because they know antediluvians exist because, well, they ate theirs, at least 2 of them anyway. So they have a completely different outlook. So it makes for, especially in a large social setting, it makes for a completely different game altogether. And honestly, politics in the Sabbat is kind of scarier. You know?
Oh yeah.
Got another question. What does one have to do But what does one have to do exactly to become an Archon? Is there a process that a kindred has to go through? No, basically, it's if you have a skill set that a Justicar wants, he taps you and you become an Archon. That's pretty much it.
Make yourself useful to the Justicar.
Right.
The Justicar.
And you don't even have to be the... Sorry.
Go ahead.
Yeah, and you don't even have to be part of the same clan. For example, there's Petrodon had a Gangrel Archon and stuff like that. So I used to be under the impression that every Justica would only choose Archons that would be of the same clan, but it's like Peter was saying, as long as you have the skill set that this Justica wants, you're eligible to be an Archon.
For instance, Angelino Angel Hammer was an Archon under the same Justicar I served, Carl Shrek, who was Tremere. It was one of those, and then Petrodon, as you just mentioned, has at least 4 clans represented here: Bruja, Toreador, let's see here, Ventru, and Nosferatu. So yeah. That was that you can. All you got to do is just be useful, and they'll tap you. Now, as New Way put up earlier on, I got a giggle out of it. Is that the dog catchers apparently always have a job opening because it's inherently a really nasty job.
Yeah, see, that's actually something that kind of came to mind a few minutes ago. So we know that the Justicars will nominate, you 5 guys or 10 guys or whatever. Y'all are now my Archons and you serve me. But what about the dog catchers? What about, who nominates them? Is it still an Archon who says, "Hey, I got a real problem with werewolves. I don't like them. So you guys, now you're dog catchers. You're gonna go do this," or what?
Well,
that's just something that popped in my head a few minutes ago.
Peter, did you have an answer?
And why? Really? I mean, that's the deeper question is why.
Why would you want to be a dog catcher?
No, why would a Justicar single out specific Archons to become dog catchers?
Well, skills. I think from what I'm getting from the information that I have available is that it's not so much the Justicar saying you would be really good at fighting werewolves. No, it's the Archon themselves that says, I have the skill set to hunt these nasties, so I'll say, listen, if you have a werewolf problem, give me a call.
Yeah,
kind of thing.
More of a volunteer.
Yeah.
With regard to the dog catcher specifically.
Yes. The rest of the groupings seem to be more of an appointed thing. Like again, as long as your skill set's right for that particular job, then yeah, they'll put you in a division or wherever. And
I guess the best way to put like how the different factions of Archons are, it's more of a special forces. Like, okay, we have a big lupine problem. I know this Archon's good at it, this Archon's good at it, this Archon's good at it. Let's go in and do it. It's more of that sort of thing. Like, they know who to call on if they need something. Like the Alistairs, for instance.
Yeah.
They're all people that are really good at hunting down and finding and destroying people on the red list.
And you don't get on the red list unless you're really bad.
Yeah. And
really, really bad.
And that's kind of like what their deal is. But it's they're all like just different little subsets or special branches or however you want to see it. It's not necessarily a title It's just these are the guys that are good at that. These are the guys that are good at this. Because there's anywhere from, it says 50 to 250 Archons amongst the entire kindred population.
Yeah, they aren't very common.
No. But amongst themselves, they give themselves little designations. Like, oh, that guy's an Alistair. Whoa.
All right. I hope that answered your question, New Wave. That's always fun. Yeah.
New Wave says, "Can you turn it down if you're offered the job?"
Well, I mean, you can.
You can, but I don't know.
It depends on.
Well,
who
okay,
you
so all kidding aside, yes, you totally can. You will lose face, but it's not like they're going to kill you.
No.
It's one of those things that
Don't expect to last in the position for far too long.
if you are say for example, if you are the sheriff of a city, and one of the Primogen there gets selected to be the next Justicar, they might say, "Hey, you've been doing a really good job as a sheriff here for the last 20 years, and I want to promote you to come with me." You might think that's a great idea, or you might say, "No, you know what? My job is here. I'm good at this job because I know this city backwards and forwards. I wouldn't be any good anyway, so I'm going to have to decline your offer." So I can see reasons for declining.
See, that would work.
Mm-hmm. And oddly enough, a lot of the I guess not oddly enough, is quite a few Archons get tapped for the job after serving as sheriff.
True.
Which is
I think that being the sheriff kind of precludes having the kind of experience that is necessary to be an Archon.
Yeah.
You have an investigative role. You're obviously able to take care of yourself physically. You've been able to balance the politics of the situation and work for and with those people that are more powerful than you politically without just being their lapdog.
Yeah.
So I think that makes a lot of sense.
Anybody with the name Archon, I'm not going to ever assume is a lapdog to anybody, except maybe the Justicar they work for. And even then, the Justicars usually have a lot of respect for the Archons that work underneath them. Or, the Justicar wouldn't be able to trust them with some of the jobs that are required of them. That's the way that works.
Of course they're lapdogs. They're the servants of the antediluvians.
God,
they don't exist.
Cain will see that they're smited.
Smitten.
No, that's
something else. Sorry, never mind.
One of the things I wanted to talk about also was Theo Bell. I feel like he deserves a lot.
We need to talk a little bit about Theo now.
Because Theo Bell is one of the signature characters for the entire history of the game.
Mm-hmm. He's been the face of the Bruja forever.
Start as sheriff, if I remember correctly.
He what?
And then eventually got promoted up and became an Archon himself.
He was actually a slave starting out.
Right.
And then after he was turned, he went back and killed all the slave masters.
Actually, his name was Theodore, and he didn't have a family name because same thing, he was a slave. And it was Master Bell, the one that he killed as vengeance after he was embraced.
Okay. Now that I did not know.
So that he adopted the surname Bell to pretty much remember where he was coming from and to never forget everything that he fought against.
Yeah.
He's personally one of my favorite Archons.
I've always thought he was a good Archon. He is the face of the Archons. He's the face of the Bruja. But in general, you're right. He is the quintessential Archon.
Yeah.
Now, there are a couple of others that I'm also very fond of, like Muaziz, the Archon of Ulug Beg. Always fun. She's great. I always thought she would look more Assamite than Tremere, but okay. So, I'm looking at some of the interesting stuff here about. Oh, that's okay. He was. He actually has served under 2 separate Archons.
Mm-hmm.
I guess he was just that good. Yaroslav Pasek, which I think he was the Bruja Archon.
He was an Archon, and then he was promoted to Justicar.
Justicar, yeah.
You know, for a lot of the time that I played in the Camarilla fan club, I played a Bruja. And one of the cool things that we did is during the first Camarilla convention, we actually had player character inner circle members and stuff like that. And that's when I said getting a boon from an Archon is really good. Because I had a few of those just from playing my character, and they all thought I was cool, the way I played my character. Yeah. I just thought I'd throw that in there. Why not?
So, also regarding Theobel, I wanted to say he's a good example of an Archon who is intelligent and cunning enough to recognize when he's being played, when he's being manipulated, and when the people that are trying to give him orders are really setting him up to fail. Again, in Beckett's Jihad Diary, he features prominently in the first part of it.
Why am I not surprised?
He is sent to DC to prove that Marcus Vitel is still alive. And the problem with that is he's the one that reported Marcus Vitel
dead. Yeah.
So basically, he says, they're setting me up to fail because if I tell them, hey, he's still alive, then I'm saying that I failed. But if I tell them, no, he's dead, then they say, you're not looking hard enough. You're failing at your duties. And so during the course of that book, he starts doing stuff on the side that he feels will benefit himself and the Camarilla, and also undermine those people that are sending him on these foolish
wild goose chase
errands. So I think that's a really good example of an Archon who he knows his mission, and he doesn't only take orders. Obviously, he doesn't only take orders from his Justicar, but he's smart enough to say, hey, I'm being played for a sucker, and I'm not going to stand for it.
Right.
Well, I love this quote here. It says, even the war packs walk warily when Bel is near, and the anarchs of 100 cities curse the name of Killer Bee.
Yeah, Killer Bee.
Killer Bees.
I said, that's awesome. Like I said, there's quite a bit of info. Somebody really did a good job with this particular entry at the wiki. It's got most of all the information that...
That's actually a quote from Children of the Night.
Is it?
Yep.
I'm also looking here. So, wait a minute. There was a Gehenna novel?
Yeah, there were 3 of them.
Yeah, there was...
Oh, you're talking about when they took the 13 clan books and made them into...
No. No, there was a end times... they called it a trilogy, but really it was more like a thematic trilogy. There was the Gehenna novel, then the Apocalypse novel, and then the Judgment Day, which was for Mage novel.
Oh, really?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and it's kind of as close as you can get to a official ending.
I've actually just pulled Children of the Night down. I'm looking them up.
Looks like he worked with Lucida at some point. During the Gehenna novel, anyway.
Yeah.
And Beckett, I think.
Yeah, and Beckett.
See, because in the original Gehenna storyline, Beckett is killed before.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I did not remember that.
Oh, the Beckett yeah.
And it sucks because he's one of the most, well, yeah, one of the two most prominent gangrel out there. The only gangrel that's actually a scholar.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm a little biased because gangrel is my favorite clan.
Right? Okay. Awesome.
But I think it's interesting that Beckett is very much against type for the Gangrel clan. You know,
Right.
he's not archetypal at all for.
No,
for
not
what
even
the-
close. He's more true bourgeois than Gangrel.
Kind of, sort of, yeah. I mean, he still has the Wanderlust, but I mean, other than that, yeah, he keeps a tight reins on himself, and
Well, that's one of the things about the game that's really interesting, is that you don't have to stick what everybody thinks the clan is supposed to be.
true.
Right. My character is a living. Sorry. It's pretty much the embodiment of that. Like, my character is a gangrel, but he's not really a gangrel. I'll explain someday.
Yeah, see, that's the thing with my Archon character, is that he's Tremere, but he's only got 1 dot of thaumaturgy.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah. I put all the rest of the points into firearms, resources, and what is it? Sleuthing, I guess is what it... Is that how it's listed on the character sheet? Something about investigation. maybe.
Investigation.
Investigation.
Yeah.
Cool.
So, yeah,
I mean-
I built an Archon, but I picked the one clan that... They have some really good Archons, but most of them have way more thaumaturgy than I do. I'm just
So
fond of my
I,
5 points of firearm myself.
in that ongoing meta chronicle I mentioned earlier, the Archon that was sent ended up being another player character, and he was sent by Lucine. He was a Bruja. He was sent by Lucine to investigate these rumors of the ancient coming and all that stuff. And well, because he's a player character and dice are a thing, he died, and my players have not seen the full repercussions of that yet. But essentially, what that means is that now Lucinde is definitely going to be coming to the city to find out why. I mean, she'll be sending people ahead of her, but that means that a major player within the Camaria's power structure is going to be present, and that's not a good thing for their city. And
No.
as they are all more characters that have kind of worked their way up the ladder and become within their city, become more important players, that's going to be bad for them. So we'll see how that whole thing plays out. Haven't gotten to run the game yet. I'm kind of stalling until V5 comes out, and then we'll see where it goes from there.
Yeah.
But
That's our next show, is the V5 show.
awesome.
We're going to have half of White Wolf North America in channel. That's going to be fun. Oh, no. See, Jason Carl has already been on the show. And when I asked him, would you mind coming back, he jumped at it. Because most of the folks who've been on the show, you find out this is a conversation. This isn't an interview.
Right.
This is more of a stream of consciousness situation, and it's also, but we also try to give out decent information as well. And we catch ourselves when we screw up, like you did earlier.
Yeah.
Right.
Or the
So I'm excited because I'm going to be going to Gen Con this week.
Right? That's why they can't be here, is because of Gen Con. And I thought it already started. Or is that next week?
No, it starts tomorrow. Or I think technically
Oh,
it starts
tomorrow. Okay, that's why. All right.
Tomorrow's when I'm going. But yeah, so
You're going to the Holy Convention, man.
it's a big deal.
Yeah, it is a big deal. Have fun. Please do.
Thanks.
it's
I've
a
been
really
wanting
fun
to go for
convention.
so long.
Get in
I'm
on one of
excited
those Princess Gambit games and see what you think.
I have it.
I have it too, but I can't find 6 people to play.
I was going to say that too. I don't have
It requires a minimum of 6 players.
Yeah, that makes it hard. But I think I'm going to
Damn.
take it with me and try and get some people to play with it.
Absolutely.
And
the artwork on those cards is
I'm
gorgeous.
going to be picking up my copy of V5 while I'm there, and I'm really excited about it.
You getting hard copy or yeah?
Oh yeah. I'm a little disappointed because apparently the slipcase editions that have the Camarilla guide and the Anarch guide are not going to be available yet.
Oh, the one that's got the Hunger Dice in it with it too?
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that. They want like $150 for that.
Yeah.
Damn.
Well,
I know,
yeah.
right?
But regardless, I'm excited because I'm going to be getting the book and I'll be able to read it
I am
backwards
so
and
jelly.
forward. That's going to be my life for the next week. I'm super excited about it. So next
tune
time
back
we
in
talk,
for the V5 show, or come back and join us in chat.
I
You'll
would
have
love to do
White
that.
Wolf answering questions.
I would love to do that.
Oh, it looks like New Wave has her copy too, but nobody to play with.
Yep.
You know, I would have thought, and I get what Justin was trying to accomplish with this, but I would have picked a slightly less. You could play with 4, I guess, if that would be where I'd have started it at. You know, as far as the bottom end,
4, yeah.
6 was not a good number because it is difficult.
Well, I also think it's funny that even though they pushed the stretch goals and got all of the extra clans added in there, it's still only 6 to 8.
Yeah.
So it's a very small window.
Yeah, but the artwork is gorgeous.
If you have too many people,
I tell you, Danae has the longest neck of any human being I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Except for one of those crazy guys down in Africa, the ones who do the rings.
Yeah.
Stretch their necks up.
Oh, yeah.
Don't exactly know what the hell that's about. But, yeah, Danae, I was actually pleased that they picked her for the new face of Tremere.
Oh, yeah.
And because it's been Aisling Sturbridge for a very long time.
Yeah.
And so, you know, just like Theo Bell was the face of the Bruja, etc., and or okay, like the new Prince of New York, or did he keep the job? The one, the Nosferatu that picked up the job of Prince of New York after Victoria Ash said no. Calibros, yes.
Calibros. No, he, well, according to the lore, he was there temporarily. Like, he took the position of Prince for a while before the position was taken by someone else. I don't think I ever read if someone did. I guess they were just putting the opportunity for players to take Princedom of New York, like I did.
Okay. I was kind of curious about that. Like I said, some of the storyline stuff is still canon, and some of it isn't, and it's not really clear which is which most of the time.
Oh, I guess wait a couple of days, we'll find out.
Yeah. Yeah, that's another question I'm going to throw him at. I think that's the one I threw at Jason the last time he was on the show. So did Gehenna actually happen? Or are we still waiting?
Okay, so I don't know anything more than anyone else yet, but way up in kind of looking at it from the context clues we've gotten is some of it happened and some of it didn't. So like the Week of Nightmares was a thing that happened, and I'm pretty sure the Ravnos Antediluvian is gone.
Yes,
But-
it is, because the T group killed it. Well,
Right.
they helped kill it
But
with the orbital mirrors. But now
did
the eye is still
did-
kicking around though.
Yeah, Hesharu Hatze has
As the eye, yeah.
but the thing that you posted on the Facebook page, I think you did, that White Wolf posted recently that said, which house of Tremere do you belong to?
Oh, yeah, Tremere, Karna, or Tremere,
Goratrix.
Goratrix, and Karna.
So that implies that the Tremere Antitribute are a thing,
Yeah.
still.
as well as Tremere Anarch are a thing. So I don't know.
The way I play it off, like, I have this thing that whenever I'm being storyteller, it's my world of darkness, and
Right.
I'm pretty much setting up what's going on in there. So the way I play it off is that Gehenna started, and players and other characters did something to actually stop it. It didn't progress too much, but they actually stopped it. And this is like to spend the time while we get an actual answer, a confirmation from V5 on what actually happened with Gehenna.
Okay. I'm really that video that they posted, the one you guys we were just talking about. I mean,
Right.
it shows that at least that little teaser is that they have made some big changes to my clan, and I'm kind of curious how bad, and I don't know which house other than I'd probably have to go with Tremere, of course, just because the Archon thing. I don't want to be a Templar. I just want to do what I do. No, I was good at it too. I was really good at it. I only had to take out one prince, which was kind of nice. Well, it turned out that the Toreador prince of Milwaukee was. Yeah, I know, right? So I'm like, it turns out that she's gone crazy. She's lost her fucking mind. And turns out she was embracing people and then diablerizing them.
Damn.
Yeah, I know, right? So, of course I get called in on something like that. And oddly enough, man, she had a lot of celerity.
That's pretty dark.
And
That's
she
a
heard
tornado
the
thing.
click when I came up and put the shotgun to the base of her spine. She
Yep.
heard the click just as the pin hit the. I had a critical fail. It was bad. I thought I was toast. I
I
did.
hate when that happens.
Oh man! Click, boom, and she steps out of the way. And I'm like, oh Jesus. Okay, now what do I do? Because she's gonna start dancing around me and kicking my ass. She had, like I said, 4 or 5 dots of celerity. It was crazy.
God damn.
Yeah. But that was it. That's about all she had. She had no weapons. So, I wasn't worried about ag. It was just, I actually finally had to just grapple, take her to the ground, put the shotgun to her head and blow her away, but I lost, I don't know how many, jeez. I lost over half my health for that fight.
Damn.
It was crazy. It was. I'm just, okay, so no more celerity, people. I'll kill anybody else you want me to, but I ain't dealing with y'all.
Right.
So we're coming up on about 2 minutes till the end of the show. I want to thank our guests tonight, Peter Pena and Kyde. And,
you
of
for
course,
having me.
my wonderful co-host, who I haven't heard from in the last 30 minutes. I'm starting to get a little concerned.
I'm just dude. There's times I just let y'all talk, man. It's
Oh,
kinda-
that's
it's
what
really cool, you know?
I do from time to time. New Wave wants to know which house do you? Okay.
I think that was to you.
Okay, is that English? I think. Okay, yeah. Normally, I'm a Tremere, house Tremere, and the thing most
Oh,
when you stop being an Archon, when Carl Schreck stepped down, and I was no longer an Archon because the next Tremere Justicar didn't want, really didn't want to deal with me.
something just occurred. Well,
Hold on. So it was basically I went to Anubis, Pyramid Security after that, which is pretty much the same skill set, except I specifically work for the house. It's like an Archon amongst the Tremere, and the only ones you ever deal with are other Tremere.
Oh yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. So yeah, I am New Wave. Oh, like I said, I lost over half my life for that bullshit.
Did that character get retired at that point?
Nope, still running around. I've got him listed over there at the White Wolf site for the next LARP. Anybody wants an Archon, I'd be happy to, or an Anubis. Either one.
Right.
Dude, can I be your character for my Chronicles?
Sure. Cause,
All right. Well,
I don't know.
so,
thank you for having me.
huh?
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely happy to have you, dude. Always happy to have you.
Great
You're
meeting
you're
everybody.
gonna be back. I have a feeling.
Oh yeah.
I have a feeling you're enjoying this too. So we're good. How you doing, Kyde? Did you enjoy yourself tonight?
Man, I've learned so much tonight, and I thought that I knew a bunch of stuff, but apparently I don't know crap.
I
So-
know. That's what when I started doing this show. I didn't know. I
That's
knew
the
I
best
didn't know anything.
So I'm looking forward to hearing more of these, because I really want to know everything, because I'm a smart ass.
Well, we've got 2.5 years worth of archive stuff. I've
Oh, yeah.
deleted the ones that were questionable content. Well,
Black
no,
Ops.
there were some shows that just didn't come up to my standards, and so I wound up. I stopped numbering them, and now they're just in there as under their titles. So
cool.
that way, and I found out the through other YouTube channels watching them how they do their shows, you know, and so I'm learning as I go along, and I'm really need a new computer. That's all I know. That's all I know, because they're going to take away my games, and I'm not happy about that.
Yep.
I mean, how do you take away games from somebody who's already bought them? That's just rude. So, if you guys have any plugs, throw them out, man.
Absolutely.
So, all right, then we're going to go ahead and call it for the night. I want to thank all the folks that joined us in chat. Oh, excuse me.
I said no plugs yet. I'm still working on something a little more coherent before then.
Oh, okay. All right.
But
Awesome.
I definitely want to be invited back for the V5 discussion.
Okay. We have a lot of people signed up
And
for
if
that
not,
show.
I'll still be in the chat.
Okay, come join us in the chat, because that'll be cool. Like I said, I have no idea how this is going to go.
Yeah.
As
it'll
far
be,
as this, no, this will be.
disorganized chaos.
Well, no. The issue is I upgraded my my cable the other day so I can get more upload bandwidth.
Yeah.
So with this number of people in the channel, that'll be the largest show we've done.
Wow.
I mean, last year's Grand Masquerade, we did a pity party one of the nights it was going on. I had a whole bunch of people here for that, but I think it was like 6 max.
Okay.
So this next show is going to be 8 of us at least that I can think of. Hey, we got enough to play Prince's Gambit.
That's true.
Somebody needs to come up with an online version of it. That would
Oh,
be
yeah.
great.
Man, that would be ballin'.
Then we could actually find people to play. And you can put your cards back in a box and set them up on the shelf. Because I know,
Right.
so I know a couple of people who bought 2 copies, one to open, one to leave packaged.
Hmm.
Oh, just like I did with StarCraft 2.
And I got one of the boxes with the typo on it, the one where they put 2 Qs in Masquerade.
Yep, I have that. A Vampire the Masquerade.
Yeah, and I'm like, Justin, dude, did nobody proofread this box before you sent it off to the printer? Come on. So, all right, guys, we're going to say goodnight. So, everybody, we'll see you back here in 2 weeks for the V5 show. That's going to be a big deal, yo, so you might want to come check it out. And please join us in chat and get your questions asked. We'll actually have people capable of answering intelligently. Some of us we just wing it, man. And 9 times out of 10 it works.
Yeah.
9 out of 10.
Right? So all right. So good night, guys. Good night, Sabrina. Good night, New Wave, and whomever else was in the channel. And I'll talk to you guys in 2 weeks. Say good night, guys.
Good
Good night.
night.